I'm live from both of my channels. I'm live from both channels, OSCC Dawa and this one, same time. This one, this two. Armin can't substantiate one of his claims. He's a Shia guy claiming to be ex-Muslim. He's a Shia. He's no ex-Muslim. He's an ex-Shia. I don't blame Shias leaving Shiaism. Of course they're gonna run Shiaism.
Welcome to the Slingshot channel, to the Mongolian episode. Yes, it's true. So many people ask me, since I obviously love
I will.
Why not testing a Mongolian horsebow? And I said, well, let's give it a try. Why not? It certainly look beautiful. But I bought like the cheapest one that you can find. It's actually looking quite interesting.
Ask you a quick question.
And as you see,
Are you from Iran, yeah? Originally, Shia. You're Shia, yeah?
Also,
your family is Shia, though.
It is detachable.
I've done some.
You can actually very easily remove the string.
I decided that Shiism doesn't make sense. It's Muslim.
But your ethnicity is Shiism, though. That's what I'm trying to say.
A reflex.
My background.
You would think that it probably works this way, but it
Shia,
doesn't.
okay.
When I became religious,
And the bow actually is made from fiberglass, so it looks like.
Shia, yeah, I agree with you.
And you could put it apart and then see how it looks from the inside and put it together anytime. They even give you a little bit of leather so you can wrap it if you want to.
No.
But then, of course, it makes it harder to.
He came from a Shia background, but Shiaism didn't make
I'm
sense.
going to do some things later.
So
that will
when
make
he was
this,
religious, the Quran was only, he was a Quran only
as
guy,
you see,
yeah?
it loops over these ends here. And
I'll speak to you after this, yeah?
this really means that the bow can be.
I'm going to do a video with him myself
Like
after Ali's finished, inshallah.
But the Mongolian bows take the
So as you
power
heard, he's got Shia background.
length to the execution. You actually need very long arrows.
What do you mean you told me?
So here, for example, is a 32.
What do you mean? He said he's from a Shia background. He said Shia didn't make sense, so he left
And it
Shiaism.
shoots quite well.
Didn't you hear that?
As you see, I can draw it out to the max, and then, yeah, not bad. Full hit. Now you might have noticed that I'm using a very typical three-finger grip to draw out my bow, like so. But actually the Mongols didn't do it. They used a thumb ring. And I bought some of those. They aren't very expensive, but none of them fit my fairly thick thumb. So I made myself one from plywood. What else? The plywood
Yeah,
thumb ring. Let me
I'm
show
gonna
you in
ask him
picture.
questions
Okay, as
after.
you see,
We'll have a chat, yeah?
the ring actually
We'll have a talk
has
after
like
this.
a lip
Yeah?
here. And what you do is
I'm gonna have a
you
talk
put
with
it
him.
over your thumb, and actually it's not perfectly round, so that you can.
I will have a
turn it
talk with him,
little bit, and then
inshallah. I'm
locks
live on
when you
my
turn it
OSCC Dawa channel, so I'm going to end
Now
this one.
The ring is very solid and firmly, but it's not
Look.
too tight.
As you can see, I'm live.
Looks funny, but actually it doesn't hinder the dexterity of my hand.
So
Now,
when I
here
end
is
this
how you
stream,
do
jump
it.
on the OSCC Dawa stream, guys.
Instead of holding the string like so, what you do is you put your thumb underneath the arrow, like so, and you could already feel that the ring locks the string. And then take your index finger and wrap it around your thumb. And then you draw out like so. And all you have to do if you want to shoot is you release your index finger. The rest is automatic. Very simple. Now this also has the advantage that the string is actually drawn back at a sharper angle.
Trump in the building. What's up,
With
man?
short bows, it's a lot more comfortable. So
I'm gonna have a chat with this ex-Muslim after when Ali's finished. So check it out. I'll do it on
I draw this out.
time on this
So
channel.
I shoot. I simply let go of my index finger. So
Did you
even
read
though
it?
this is
Read
a
what?
fairly
Give
cheap
Ali Dawa a hug and
weak
Trump.
bow,
Inshallah,
I
will.
like
Inshallah,
it.
inshallah.
It's a lot of fun to shoot. But of course the question is, can we actually
Anyway,
set it
jump
for
on the
shoot?
OSCC
Because
Dawa
those
channel. I'm
are the
gonna end this now.
advantage that the
Inshallah.
opponents couldn't send them back to you since they were too short for their moves. That's quite smart. So, instant Legolas devices that I make, because this actually is just decorated. So I don't want it to look like a little bit like a boutique thing, also painted it dark brown for the purpose.
Okay.
It shoots the
Salam.
normal
Salam alaikum.
bolts for the Cobra R9. But because I don't think that the Mongols had access to coil springs, so I had to do a different clamp down feather. And what I've been using is, I've been using a wooden arrow, just because wooden arrows are flexible. So inside here you can still see the tip of the arrow. And the arrow is actually attached to the end of this here, so it's under tension as you see. See? It's held in place by two pins, by two wooden pins. I can pull those out just with some pliers. And also, this is really nice because I can load in the arrows just like you would load a Winchester rifle, like so, very simple. And it fits 4 arrows. I didn't want to make it too big. Also, as you see, it is not attached by screws or something. This will simply be attached by rope. And so this is going to be pressed against the bow, and then we're going to wind it with some string, and then it's attached, and you can remove it at any time. There's no changes on the bow. And by the way, this is the little test device that I made myself to figure out the arrow spring method. As you see, it's spring loaded, and it clamps down on the arrow. That is here represented by a pencil. Very little friction, but total functionality. So now I put it on, and I haven't really tied it to it yet because it clamps nicely even without. So you could really also shoot this without tying the grip. But of course it's more comfortable. So as you see, I've now wrapped it, and actually this has 2 advantages. First,
I have emotes when I place orders.
Yeah, that's something.
I think that's worth the 11.5 gig download.
Stand by.
Go!
See the arm? Respect the arm.
Go there. Okay, now go over there. Move to this position. Switch low and high.
15 seconds. One friendly remaining. Time expires in 10 seconds. 5 seconds remaining. Bomb diffuser in place. All friendlies were eliminated. Mission failure.
Position. Okay,
This is
move
like
to
Arma.
this position.
You can stand up.
bombs.
Take some trauma places.
Be advised, a bomb location has been compromised.
Laying out the welcome mat. Deploying barbed wire.
10 seconds left. 5 seconds. Op 4 has located a bomb. Get ready to engage.
Deploying welcome mat.
Enemy drone is moving into position for scan.
Changing mag.
Enemy is about to scan the area. You've been exposed.
Loading new mag.
One is on B window. The B window guy is aiming down there from me. You guys watch Call of Duty now. This is still going on over here. Window. On the feet. No mag. No mag planting. Things coming out with playing the window.
Reloading.
Protect the bombs. Be advised, a bomb location has been compromised. Op 4 located a bomb. Protect it. drone to locate a bomb. Drone has located a bomb. Advised the drone has located a bomb. 10 seconds to go. 5 seconds to go. Proceed to bomb's location and defuse it. You must recover the diffuser. Down to one friendly. All friendlies have been eliminated.
Bunch of these thermoelectric Peltier devices thanks to circuit specialists. I've never used them before, but from what I know, when you apply electricity to them, they pump heat. Well, let's power it with 12 volt DC. I know the theory behind it, but I haven't really experienced one. What this? Ow! It burn freezes. It's like you're naked in space and your side facing the sun is boiling hot and the other side is freezing cold. I knew this would happen, but when you really experience it, new questions pop in your head. Like all my life, when I ran electricity through a conductor, it always heated up. Except now it's cooling down and it's heating up on the other side. It kind of works like my wife. While the rest of her body is at boiling temperature, her feet are at absolute zero. Okay, let's power it up again and look at it with my thermal camera. Right now, both sides are at the same temperature. And if I power it up, this side cools down quickly while the other side heats up. Oh, it's burning. I shouldn't run it at maximum power with no heatsink. Running it at 5 volts. And one side heats up while the other side cools down. So it's like 29 degrees here and 60 degrees here. So there's like 30 degrees difference between both sides. And if I flip the voltage here, you see the cold and hot sides flip too. Now this side is cooling down and that side is heating up. If I let it run for a while, the cold side heats up too, but it seems like the device is keeping the temperature difference constant, around 30 degrees at 5 volts. And the temperature difference between the two surfaces is power dependent, so at maximum power, the difference can be 60 to 70 degrees. These things work based on Peltier effect, Seebeck effect, and Thomson effect, which is basically the extension of Seebeck and Peltier effects. And all these are different manifestations of the one thing that is the thermoelectric effect, which happens when two conductors with different materials touch each other. The Seebeck effect is when there is a temperature difference between the junction of two materials and rest of it, a voltage is created across the junction and acts like a generator. The voltage is typically very small, in order of microvolts, and increases with more temperature difference. Measuring that tiny voltage, you can measure the temperature. That's what they do in thermocouples, joining two different wires, chrome and aluminum in this case, and you can read the temperature on the meter. In the Peltier effect, if you run current through the same joint, it can cool down and absorb heat, or it can heat up and radiate heat depending on the direction of the current. The problem is that I have no idea what happens in atomic quantum level that passing electricity through two material can cool it down. I read somewhere that the electrons move the heat away. What the hell does that mean? If you know a good explanation, please leave it in the comments so I learn it too. Or if you want to learn math and science, then check the sponsor of this video, brilliant.org. Such professional, much interactive, tons of math and science courses, free courses are. This device is fascinating. For whatever reason, when you run current through it, it pushes heat from one side to the other, creating a temperature difference. Like if both surfaces start at 30 degrees Celsius, running current can make one side 0 and the other 60 degrees. But it also wastes tons of power, 50 watts max for this guy, so it heats up quickly while the temperature difference remains around the same. So one side could be 100 degrees and the other side 40. But if I can somehow cool down the hot side to say 50 degrees Celsius, then the cold side could be minus 10 degrees. The cold side would suck the heat from the environment and pump it to the hot side. That's why I bought a bunch of heat sinks to experiment with. So I attached the device and heatsink using a thermal compound that fills the gap between the two and provides a very good thermal conductivity. The metal heatsink with so many fins creates a large surface area to transfer heat to air better and cool down. Okay, let's give it a try. Oh, look at that! The surface is getting colder. Great. But as the heatsink is getting warmer, the cold surface is going up too, which means we have to blow air with a fan on the heatsink to keep it cold. Or even better, just place the heatsink in cold water. And we power it up. And there it goes. Of course, as the water slowly heats up, the temperature rises too. Running cold water would help, but that wastes a lot of water. Minus 11 degrees. Let's add some water to the surface and power it up and see what happens. And zip! It all freezes. And if I disconnect the power, bam, it heats right back up. These Peltier devices, or shall we call them thermoelectric devices, work on the same principles I talked about. But instead of one junction of two different material, there are many junctions placed in series like this between two surfaces, made of P and N semiconductors. Running current through them creates a temperature difference. Also, if you place a temperature difference between the two surfaces, you create a much higher voltage because of so many junctions in series. Flipping the temperature also flips the voltage. Let's give it a try. I have a box of tea with metal bottom, and if I pour boiling water in it, it creates a voltage at the output of the device, around 2 volts. So I can use this to power something. Here I have a 10 ohm resistor, and if I connect it to the output, right now I'm drawing like 160 milliamps from it. Of course, the voltage drops as the hot water cools down and the heatsink heats up, and temperature difference gets smaller. In general, thermoelectric devices are pretty inefficient to create either cool or voltage. Their main application is in those small cooler or fridges because they are light and small. Now I want to put 9 of these modules together to create a cooling surface slash a generator if possible, and so I bought a big fan to blow on the heat sinks and a bunch of screws and a wood board. Let's put them together. The hell? My camera of 6 years just blew up.
Advise your drone has located a bomb. Seconds to insertion. Insertion in 5 seconds. You've located a bomb. Make your way to its location and defuse it.
No, I know what you're saying. I can see you moving, but I can't hear you.
Deploying ballistic shield.
stop standing. Op 4 eliminated.
Well, now I'm stuck with one camera and it doesn't have a microphone input, so I can't really use my wireless lapel anymore. Audio quality down. Now I have to just install these heat sinks in it.
Need to use your drone to locate a bomb. Drone has located a bomb. Ten seconds to go. Insertion in 5 seconds. You found a bomb. Make your way to its location and defuse it.
Breach charge ready. Breach. I'm reloading. You have dropped the diffuser. Down to one friendly. We have been eliminated.
speaks.
5 seconds.
I see his mic, but I don't hear him.
Proceed to bomb's location and defuse it.
Enemy spotted! Second floor!
Four last operator standing.
I gotcha! Track deployed.
Must recover the diffuser.
Track deployed!
One friendly operator remaining.
Downstairs. Yeah. Oh shit.
The diffuser has been secured. Yeah. 15 seconds. Op 4 neutralized. Mission successful.
Come on. Pins and
Going up.
Op 4 located a bomb. Protect it. If you remain in this zone, you will be detected by hostiles. Your location has been compromised.
Enemies located. Second. Cover me! Reloading!
Op 4, last operator standing. Op 4 eliminated. Mission successful.
Front and back vents. I noticed something interesting. It seems like because the fan is turning this way, maximum airflow is coming out this way and out that way, and there is very little airflow in these areas, so that might affect the temperature performance of the heat sinks. So I guess the air is not just coming straight up, it's twisting. And I guess that's where the knowledge of fluid dynamics would have helped.
Protect the bombs.
ADS deployed and ready to go.
Op 4 located a bomb. Protect it.
I'll just relax here and let Yokai do the rest.
Down to 10 seconds. 5 seconds left. Bomb located by Op 4.
Ready for cover. Deploying barbed wire. First floor.
I've got an idea to make the airflow better using a CD cover. Let's hope it works. So here's what I've made for the fan, and I think I've seen it on some other fans before. Basically, my fan, when it blows, the air spins up like this. But now with these fins, the air, instead of twisting, it will hit these walls and comes straight up. But now I've made them curved. So what happens is that when the air hits here, it's
Op 4 located a bomb. Protect it. Located a bomb. Be ready for hostile action.
Device right. Keep an eye on door. EDD prime. That's clear. Cannon position. EDD mounted. Let him come. Doorway trapped. Stay clear of blast zone. Initiate jammer. Going jammer.
Barricade up!
One friendly operator remaining. Mission failed. All friendlies have been neutralized.
slips inside, so all the curve of the fin to the fins, you know, if there was a too close even. Okay, let's see if it helps. It doesn't really help that I placed the fan too close to the fins. You know, if there was a greater spacing between them, the air would be much more even and would cover more of the qualified to do this kind. Okay, now that everything is in place, I'm gonna cover between them with silicone, not only to keep these devices in place, but also to further isolate the hot and cold surfaces. Or at least that's my thought. Okay, I need a small pan.
Bomb
advised. Plan accordingly. Down to 10 seconds. Located a bomb. Be ready for assault. 5 seconds to count. Op 4 has located a bomb. Op 4, last operator standing. Op 4 eliminated. Mission successful.
I don't want to have to cut a piece of sheet metal. I want it nice and straight like this, but small. I want something square and small. Don't seem they have it. This looks good, but it's part of a napkin holder. Maybe I should just buy the whole thing and cut this out of it. Ooh, these metal doors are perfect. If I can't find one without the handle. Fine, I'll just buy.
Need to use your drone to locate a bomb. Your drone has found a bomb. Seconds to insertion. 5 seconds. You found a bomb. Make your way to its location and defuse it. You located a bomb.
Heading for the corner.
Op 4 last operator standing. Op 4 neutralized. Mission successful.
Same Mohammed, but you game man. See you on the flip side, Mohammed. Maybe next time you might go.
Yeah.